Good day and welcome back to Channel AI News. This is your anchor Reginald Reed, here to bring you the latest developments and insights from the current events of the world. Stay tuned, stay informed. Now let's get started with today's top stories on Channel AI News.
MSNBC host Joy Reid criticized Latino men for voting for Donald Trump despite his policies targeting their mixed-status families. She noted that 55% of them voted to support deportations, likening it to voting with Stephen Miller and David Duke. Reid's comments highlight the complex dynamics within the Latino community and the potential consequences of their votes on family relationships and policy outcomes. The Season 18 reunion of The Real Housewives of Orange County saw a dramatic shift in alliances and a toxic atmosphere, with Gina, Emily, and Heather targeting Katie over alleged lies and inconsistencies in her life. Meanwhile, the central feud between Shannon and Tamra has lost its luster, with Tamra regretting her past behavior and Shannon's drinking habits being called out. The reunion sets up a potential explosive Season 19, with Katie emerging as a possible villain and the dynamics between the housewives continuing to shift. Expect more drama and tension in the coming season. The uncle of a 6-year-old boy who accidentally shot and killed himself has been arrested on charges of culpable negligence and neglect of a child. The incident occurred when the boy found an unsecured gun at his home in Tamarack, Florida. Gun owners are being reminded to properly secure their firearms and practice essential safety tips to prevent unintentional shootings like this one. Heirs of companies with ties to Russia have rallied since Trump's U.S. election win, as investors hope he'll help end the war in Ukraine. Stocks like Raiffeisen Bank International and OTP Bank have surged 12.2% and 4.9% respectively, while Ukraine's dollar-denominated bonds have also rallied. Investors are optimistic that Trump will follow through on his campaign promises to end the war in Ukraine, but analysts warn that Putin may not be willing to compromise, posing a challenge to any deal-making efforts. Mike Davis, a lawyer and former Senate aide reportedly on the shortlist for Attorney General, made threatening comments towards New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying he'd put her fetus in prison if she continues to pursue cases against President Trump. This exchange suggests a potential escalation of tensions between Trump allies and Democratic officials, with implications for future legal battles and the rule of law. Jeff Bezos' net worth has reached an all-time high of $228 billion, fueled by Amazon's record-breaking stock price and a surge in the market following Donald Trump's presidential election win. As the world's second richest person, Bezos' wealth is expected to continue growing with Amazon's continued success and potential benefits from a Trump administration's policies. 4-star Army Gen. Laura Richardson stepped down as commander of the U.S. Southern Command after 3 years, during which she led efforts to strengthen regional security, counter threats, and build capacity in Latin America and the Caribbean. She was succeeded by Navy Adam Alvin Holsey, who is the first African American to lead the command. The Biden administration expects continued cooperation with regional partners to address pressing security challenges, including transnational terrorism, natural disasters, and irregular migration, as well as ongoing tensions between Guyana and Venezuela. Fox News hosts on the 5 suggested prosecutors in Donald Trump's criminal cases should face the death penalty, as the Department of Justice plans to wind down federal cases against him before he takes office. The DOJ's decision to drop federal charges against Trump may embolden his base and led to further state-level investigations into his alleged crimes. Prince William opened up about the hardest year of his life due to wife Kate Middleton and father King Charles being diagnosed with cancer. He shared that it's been a brutal time, but is proud of their handling of the situation, and that Kate is now cancer-free. Expect Prince William to continue prioritizing family and work while navigating his personal life amidst ongoing health challenges for loved ones. Fox News host Laura Ingraham discusses the 2024 presidential election results, highlighting Donald Trump's strong performance across various demographic groups and deep blue states. She questions whether Democrats have a clear understanding of what went wrong in their loss. The takeaway from this article is that Republicans are encouraged by Trump's strong showing in key demographics and states, and Democrats may need to reassess their strategy for the 2024 election. The husband of missing Texas real estate agent Suzanne Simpson has been charged with her murder, along with other offenses including prohibited weapons and evidence tampering. Investigators have not found Suzanne's body but have gathered enough evidence to charge Brad Simpson, who had previously denied the charges as ludicrous. The couple's daughter has spoken out against her father, stating that he took her mother's life in a state of rage and control. Expect an arraignment hearing for Brad Simpson on November 13, where he will face the murder charge. This development brings some peace to Suzanne's family, allowing them to begin the grieving process and focus on rebuilding their lives. Joe Rogan urged Donald Trump to prioritize unity and not retribution after his presidential election victory, expressing enthusiasm for a second term if Trump can abandon his worst impulses. Trump's supporters like Joe Rogan are calling on him to unite the country rather than attack his opponents, setting the stage for potential policy changes in his second administration. France's gambling regulator, Autorité Nationale des Jeux Étrangers, is investigating Polymarket, a crypto-based betting site, for compliance with domestic laws. This comes after a French national bet $30 million on Donald Trump's win and made $48 million in profits. The investigation may lead to Polymarket being banned for French users, highlighting the growing scrutiny of online politics betting and its potential influence on election outcomes. Airbnb reported a 10% increase in revenue to $3.73 billion for its third quarter, with nights and experiences booked jumping 8% to $122.8 million. The company also launched its co-host network, aiming to make hosting less of a burden and attract more hosts and properties. CEO Brian Chesky teased a move beyond short-term rentals that Airbnb will make public in 2025. Airbnb is expected to break into a new business next year, with plans to expand beyond accommodations and potentially generate $1 billion or more in revenue incrementally each year. The mountain fire in Ventura County has burned 20,485 acres with no containment as of Thursday afternoon, destroying an unknown number of homes. The cause remains under investigation. Residents can expect the fire situation to continue worsening until containment is achieved, potentially leading to further evacuations and property damage. Jesse Eisenberg's new film A Real Pain is a multi-layered drama that follows two cousins on a pilgrimage to Poland after their grandmother's death. The movie explores themes of grief, history, and personal reflection, featuring charming performances from the cast. The film hints at Eisenberg's exceptional emotional depth as a filmmaker and may spark award conversations for Kieran Culkin's performance. A female shooting suspect led authorities on an over-hour-long chase in Southern California before being taken into custody after her vehicle became disabled. The suspect, who had a dog in the car, was wanted for a previous shooting in Los Angeles and managed to evade police multiple times before finally surrendering. The suspect's arrest brings an end to a high-speed pursuit that caused significant traffic disruptions on major freeways in Southern California. DNC Chairman James Harrison fired back at Bernie Sanders on X, calling his claim that Democrats have lost the working class BS. Harrison praised President Biden's record on workers' rights and highlighted potential benefits of some Democratic plans. Expect further debate within Democratic circles about the party's performance in the election, with some pointing fingers at Vice President Harris' loss and others defending their strategies. Donald Trump has named Susie Wiles as his pick for White House Chief of Staff, citing her tough, smart, innovative qualities. Wiles, a Florida politics powerhouse with campaign management experience, will be the first woman to hold the role. Expect significant personnel changes and a shakeup in Trump's administration, potentially leading to further controversy and turnover. Rudy Giuliani's lawyer stated that the former mayor signed Joe DiMaggio jersey is in a locked storage facility on Long Island, but he has no access to it. Giuliani was ordered to surrender various possessions, including the jersey, as part of a $148 million defamation judgment against him. Giuliani must comply with court orders and provide plaintiff's lawyers with keys and title to his Mercedes, as well as current co-op shares for his Manhattan apartment, or face potential contempt charges. 43 rhesus macaque monkeys escaped from a testing facility in Yemesis, prompting residents to secure their doors and windows. The young monkeys are too young for disease-carrying capabilities. Residents can expect continued efforts by authorities to safely capture the escaped monkeys, with traps set up and thermal imaging cameras being used to locate them. A federal judge in New York has given former Mayor Rudy Giuliani a deadline to hand over his valuables, including a Mercedes-Benz and Yankees memorabilia, to cover a $148 million judgment for defaming two Georgia election workers. If he fails to comply, he could be held in contempt of court. Giuliani will have 1 week to transfer his assets, and if he doesn't pay up, he may face further consequences, highlighting the ongoing legal battle over his defamation claims. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stated that President Biden still has no plans to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, who pleaded guilty to federal tax charges and was convicted of 3 felony gun charges. The president's son is scheduled to be sentenced on December 12 for the gun charges and December 16 for the tax fraud charges. It appears unlikely that President Biden will pardon or commute his son's sentence, with Jean-Pierre reiterating that no remains the answer to the question of a potential pardon. Anthony Flores, a 28-year-old man from South Los Angeles, has been sentenced to over 9 years in federal prison for his role in a 10-day robbery spree that ended in a high-speed crash and freeway foot pursuit. Flores and his co-conspirators stole around $14,143 worth of liquor from BevMo! Doors in Southern California. Florida's sentencing marks the latest consequence for violent criminals under the Operation Safe Cities initiative, with officials vowing to hold perpetrators accountable for putting lives at risk. Former NYC Mayor Rudy Giuliani was ordered by a judge to turn over a prized Mercedes and a $150-year-old watch given to him by his grandfather as part of a $148 million judgment for defaming former Georgia election workers. Giuliani claimed he's a victim of political persecution and tried to connect the case to Hunter Biden. Giuliani is likely to face further financial consequences for failing to meet deadlines in this defamation case, potentially leading to more asset seizures. Conservative experts attribute President-elect Trump's decisive victory to a more muted anti-Trump protest response compared to 2016. Protests have taken place, but their focus has shifted and turnout is lower. Experts note that protests may heat up once policy changes are enacted. While the initial protest response to Trump's victory has been relatively quiet, experts warn that protests could escalate in the future as policy changes take shape. An 8-year-old boy named Liam, who has a rare brain disorder, was thrilled when he found out that Donald Trump won the election. He had previously met Trump at a campaign rally and received a birthday letter from him. Liam's reaction to the news was caught on camera and shows his excitement and support for Trump. Liam's family is hopeful that Trump's presidency will bring positive changes, including preserving therapies for children with disabilities like Liam's. Susie Wiles, a longtime GOP operative, has been appointed by President-elect Trump as the first female White House chief of staff in U.S. history. Wiles was credited for running Trump's most disciplined and well-executed campaign. Wiles' appointment is expected to bring stability and discipline to the White House, with many praising her ability to work behind the scenes and put the president's interests first. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said President Biden believes he made the right decision to drop out of the presidential race in July, acknowledging the loss and promising a peaceful transfer of power. Biden congratulated Trump on his victory and pledged to work with his team for a smooth transition. The White House is moving forward, respecting the American people's decision to elect President-elect Trump and prioritizing a peaceful and orderly transfer of power. A mandatory no-burn day alert has been issued for Orange County and parts of Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties due to high air pollution levels. The ban prohibits residential wood burning from midnight Friday to 11:59 p.m. with exemptions for mountain communities above 3,000 feet and low-income households without natural gas service. Residents in the affected areas should stay indoors, avoid vigorous physical activity outdoors, and minimize indoor air pollution by not burning wood or using candles. A smoke advisory has also been issued due to the mountain fire in Ventura County. President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Susie Wiles as his White House chief of staff, making her the first woman to hold this position. Wiles is a seasoned Florida political operative who helped orchestrate key Republican wins in the state and worked on Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. As President-elect Trump begins to fill out his cabinet, Susie Wiles' appointment as White House chief of staff signals a shift towards more experienced and established figures in his administration. Elwood Edwards, the man behind AOL's iconic "You've Got Mail" voice alert, has died at age 74 from an undisclosed illness. Edwards recorded the phrases in his living room using a cassette deck and only received $200 for the recordings. Edwards' legacy will be remembered as a symbol of the early days of digital communication, with "You've Got Mail" becoming a cultural phenomenon that inspired a romantic comedy film. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre became testy with Fox News correspondent Jackie Heinrich after being questioned about President Biden's change in rhetoric before and after the election. Jean-Pierre defended Biden's statement that he would ensure a peaceful transfer of power, despite his previous warnings that Trump was a threat to democracy. Expect continued tension between the White House and media as they navigate the transition of power and conflicting messages from President Biden. California Governor Gavin Newsom has called a special legislative session to prepare for potential challenges from President-elect Donald Trump's second term, focusing on protecting women, LGBTQ+ people, and immigrants. The session aims to bolster California's defenses against federal actions, with a focus on litigation and seeking relief against unlawful policies. California Governor Gavin Newsom has called a special legislative session to prepare for potential challenges from President-elect Donald Trump's second term, focusing on protecting women, LGBTQ+ people, and immigrants. The session aims to bolster California's defenses against federal actions, with a focus on litigation and seeking relief against unlawful policies. Commentators and academics have attributed Donald Trump's U.S. election victory to a range of factors, including his populist appeal, stances on immigration and the economy, and a global trend against incumbents. Experts point to Vice President Kamala Harris' shortcomings as the Democratic candidate, particularly her failure to win sufficient support from female, Latino, and Black voters. As Democrats look to the future, they must learn from Trump's victory and address their own weaknesses, including a bias against nominating women candidates, in order to regain momentum and compete effectively in upcoming elections. Bankers are preparing for another 4 years of market volatility under a second Trump presidency, with expectations that he will be more pointed in his attacks and criticisms of companies, particularly those that don't meet his production and manufacturing demands. Markets may experience increased intraday volatility due to Trump's around-the-clock posting on social media, which could lead to outsized moves in specific stocks. The post-election debate over why Donald Trump won is centered around 3 theories: the economy, culture wars, and the candidates themselves. The economic argument suggests that voters prioritized lower prices and a strong economy, while the culture case argues that Democrats' fixation on identity politics alienated some voters. Meanwhile, some analysts blame Kamala Harris's candidacy for her loss. The final answer to why Trump won will likely be a combination of all 3 reasons, with the outcome determining not just the short-term fate of the country, but also the long-term prospects of each party. Former Miami-Dade County Commissioner Joe Martinez, 66, has been found guilty of political corruption after accepting $15,000 in payments from a constituent in exchange for pushing legislation that would have benefited them. The conviction could land him in prison for over 15 years. The verdict marks the end of a decorated public servant's career and raises concerns about the integrity of Miami-Dade County politics. Expect further developments on Martinez's sentencing and potential appeals, which could have significant implications for his future and the community he served. Donald Trump has tapped Susie Wiles, his under-the-radar campaign manager, to be the White House Chief of Staff. Wiles, a highly respected figure in Trump's orbit, will be the first female to hold the position and is known for maintaining a low profile. Expect a more controlled and organized approach to the Oval Office with Susie Wiles at the helm as White House Chief of Staff, potentially limiting access to Trump's inner circle. Robin Fisher, an equestrian trainer from Moorpark, helped evacuate horses from the mountain fire in Ventura County by loading them into her trailer and transporting them to safety. She made multiple trips through heavy smoke and flames to rescue as many horses as she could, eventually taking some to the Ventura County Fairgrounds. The community's response to the disaster highlights the tight-knit nature of equestrian communities in California, where neighbors help each other out in times of need.